The Black Studies program at Cleveland State University welcomes you to this season of Images, a public affairs radio forum dedicated to open dialogue on a variety of diverse topics of interest and issues of concern, which focus on the life and experiences of African Americans and all peoples of African descent. By visiting our website at www.csuohio.edu/blackstudies or calling 216-687-3655, you can learn more about upcoming Black Studies program events and activities. Now, here is your host for Images.
And welcome to Images. I'm Prester Pickett, your host for this broadcast of Images. We have a great opportunity to introduce you to one of our new instructors here through the Black Studies program by way of our continuing education initiatives, Mustrapha Braimah. Mustrapha is a Ghanaian American. Mustrapha, welcome to Images.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
With an opportunity for us to celebrate you in having an MFA, so a fellow artist is in the studio with us today. Want you to introduce yourself to our community by way of the arts and when you were first introduced to the areas of expertise that you advanced into through other studies. So starting with your background as a singer, a dancer, a drummer, and an actor eventually. So let's talk about those skills and how they developed with you in Ghana.
Yeah, thank you for your question. So my name is Mustrapha Braimah, and I was born and raised in Ghana. And if you know, or if anybody have been there before, or if you've heard about Ghana, it's situated in West Africa, and it's a country of culture. We have a lot of different languages, different people coming together and promoting the culture of the country. And I was born in a little village called Achim Tafo. It's in the eastern region of Ghana. And my mom was a medical nurse. So when I was born, when I was 8, I remember we migrated from the eastern region of Ghana to the capital city of Ghana, which is Accra. And I was staying in the suburb of Accra called Amasaman. So in Amasaman, that's where I grew up. And Amasaman people are Gan people. They spoke a different language. Where I was born, it's in Akan. I was within the Akan people. So when we moved to Amasaman, I joined a cultural group called Chochobi Cultural Group. I remember when I was around 8 to 9, and I joined as a singer. I was singing, more of a singer, and sometimes I would play the cowbell. And so I remember there was a dance group and there was a singing group, and I was with the singing group, and I wanted to join the dance group because when I see them rehearse, I have this passion, I have this voice speaking to me that I can dance. So when I was 12, I joined them, the Chochobi dance, the dance session, and started performing with them professionally. And then from there, I advanced. I graduated from high school and I attended University of Ghana, where I majored in dance and theater. And the University of Ghana had the opportunity to work with the National Dance Company of Ghana, had the opportunity to tour with them, perform with them in so many different African countries.
So you acquired a BFA, in Ghana.
Yes.
And then with this experience with a number of cultures in Ghana, because as we talked earlier, we understand that there are over 100 different type of cultures there that exchange different languages, different customs, different beliefs, and different dances, I would imagine as well. Then with your vocabulary that you use, migration, you migrated within the country. Then you immigrated to the United States.
Right.
Can you explain how you selected an institution to study at here in the U.S. to advance your skills and credentials in the performing arts?
When I was attending University of Ghana and performing with the National Dance Company, there was also a contemporary African Dance Institute called the Noyam African Dance Institute, where it was headed by the late Professor Niyate. So Professor Niyate introduced us to a different genre of dance. So we had the traditional dances, and he introduced us into the contemporary dances, which enhances our creation. When we create, I create from the traditional through, and it comes out as a contemporary piece. And so it was Niyate who, because Niyate had studied in University of Chicago in Illinois, in Urbana-Champaign, and so he introduced us to these different dance festivals that happens in the United States, and different dance schools and different genre of dance, because we were in Ghana and we were used to the traditional dances. And Niyate would tell us, there is ballet, there's modern, there's jazz, there's hip hop, there's contemporary. You have to, if you want to be a dancer, you have to know, even if you don't master all of them, you have to know a little bit about all of these forms. So I had the opportunity to apply to the American Dance Festival at Duke University in 2010. So I attended the American Dance Festival, which a lot of people refer to as ADF. I was there for 6 weeks. So my decision to come back here to the United States to study was as a result of me attending American Dance Festival, from all the dances that I saw. However, I also wanted to veer a little bit away from the dancing, because I've done a lot of dancing since I was a child. So I wanted to do a little bit of studying. I wanted to study my continent, and I didn't want to study my continent while in the continent. So I wanted to step back and look, because I understand in choreography we have this that we call artistic distance. So I use my artistic distance to come back to the United States to study African studies at Ohio University, where I can sit in in Athens, Ohio, and look at the continent of Africa and study all the different forms, all the different values that we have, not just in Ghana, but the entire continent.
Now, you're also instructing here in Cleveland at Case Western Reserve University.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain the type of techniques that you're teaching and explaining to your students there that might be considered as part of the curriculum here at Cleveland State as well, through our continuing education abbreviated course that we're going to offer through the efforts of Dr. Thomas Bynum?
Yep. Thank you. At Case Western, I teach. I don't really have a technique. I don't really have a movement class. But what I do, I teach dance in non-Western cultures. So what I do is, when we talk about a particular dance, sometimes most of the times I know these dances. When we talk about dances in Africa, most of them I know them. So I teach the class. If we talk about Bharatanatyam in India, or Kathak, or if we talk about flamenco from Spain, then I get some of my students are also dancers who teaches us. I get somebody in the Case Western campus who is master of the particular form we are talking about to come in and teach. So I taught dances around the world apart from the West, even though sometimes we have to reference the West, the Western style of dance. So I covered wide range of dance, different dance forms, the Aborigines of Australia and Africa, Asia, everywhere in the world apart from the West. So we talked about their costume, why they do the dance, where they do the dance, and the reason behind all these different functions, and the instruments, and the costume they wear, how they make them, and the gender, who performs them, and what and why do they perform them. So we did. I did a studio session, and I did a lecture, a presentation session, where I had. We'll go 1 week. One day we'll go to the studio to dance, and then the other they will go to the class to talk about it. And I also made students research about these dances, and they will come to class and present.
What we would like to do as well is understand the acculturation process when you intersect it with American culture, and our particular interest is in African American culture and how the dances of African Americans can possibly be traced back to Africa through your experience, even in seeing what's going on today as well. So we will consider at this time an opportunity for the listening audience to hear some other exciting things about what we're doing here through the Black Studies program here at Cleveland State University.
Established in 1969, the Black Studies program at Cleveland State University is currently comprised of 5 academic components, as well as the Jazz Heritage Orchestra, which contribute to the program's mission to promote knowledge and understanding to be shared with all generations and cultures concerning the rich legacy of the African diaspora. There is the academic program, an interdisciplinary curriculum of nearly 80 courses offering a major and minor in Black Studies. The Howard A. Mims African American Cultural Center is open to the public and features art exhibitions, Kumba Arts presentations by various performing artists, a Curtis Wilson lecture series, panel discussions, and Umoja roundtables. The Ralph Pruitt Lecture, Art, and Media Series brings international and national speakers, artists, and films to the campus. Images, a half-hour public affairs radio broadcast interviews guests from many fields of endeavor. The 5th component is the Black Aspiration Celebration, a week-long event of culture, arts, and contemporary issues. The Jazz Heritage Orchestra is a 17-piece orchestra comprised of musicians who are educators. The orchestra is a long-standing affiliate of the Black Studies program. The Jazz Heritage Orchestra is dedicated to preserving and perpetuating the musical heritage of the great African American jazz masters. They are available for performance engagements. Dr. Thomas Bynum is the director of the Black Studies program. Prester Pickett is the coordinator of the African American Cultural Center. Dennis Reynolds is the artistic director of the Jazz Heritage Orchestra, and I'm Louis Abdul-Ali, the second student to graduate from Cleveland State University with a major in Black Studies from the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences.
And welcome back to Images. I'm Prester Pickett, your host for this broadcast of Images. We have a conversation today with Mustrapha Braimah. He has an MFA, as well as continuing his discussions with us here at Cleveland State University through a continuing education course. A West African dance course is going to be offered through the Black Studies program, with this being the latest development through the efforts of our director, Dr. Thomas L. Bynum, and again, then having a chance for us to experience directly a conversation with West African dance with an individual from Ghana, a Ghanaian American, because now as you are with us as an American as well. Can you explain that conversation and again then allow us to understand that hyphen, if you will, in terms of the African American experience by way of someone born in Africa and then becoming an American citizen, please?
Thank you. I became American citizen just last November through my wife Shannon. We're married and we have 2 kids, Sakina and Annika. And so I went through all the immigration process. So I became a permanent resident for 3 years, and then I applied for the citizenship and went through all the interviews and the exams and the screenings and the background checks, and became a U.S. citizen.
And again, with the opportunity for us to have someone teaching the dance of the people as you are representing the people of Ghana, you are bringing lessons to us. We would like to consider with those exchanges of cultures, African culture from Ghana with American culture. We have anthropological studies with Melville Herskovitz taking us back to some of the first discussions where we started to gain credibility as African descendants here in the U.S. and connecting our experience back to Africa. Can you share from your studies or your observations how much of the African American experience is African, at least by way of the dances that our young people are doing and may not know, that some moves some movements definitely correspond with movements in Africa.
So first of all, I must say that because Africa is one of the very early civilizations, and we've been dancing since, I would say, since we were created. Because I remember dancing from my mother's womb. Before I came out, I was dancing, and I know that is how it is for everybody and on the continent. And what I see here is one of the problems that people here have, people who wants to go into African dance, African performance, is the language. You know, when we dance, it's different from the Western style.
Okay.
When we dance, we sing, we chant, we speak, and when you bring it down to movement, I would say the movement, it's there, it's connected right there. But what is missing from the movement is the things that, as a result of you not coming from the continent, you don't have, because you were born in the United States and you grew up in the United States. And so when I come to teach you a language, it will be hard for you to grab. Whereas if I teach you a movement, you can get the move. If I count and I teach you a movement, you can grab it.
So in many ways, like the drum, the movement is a language in its own.
Yes,
and then eventually we come into your transition into Cleveland, and then now Cleveland State University. So can you explain the discussion of the transitions into Cleveland, and then how you became aware of the Black Studies program here at Cleveland State University to receive the offer to instruct one of our continuing education courses?
Well, so my wife was born in Cleveland.
Okay.
And I met my wife at Ohio University many years ago. And so when I graduated from Ohio University, I attended the University of Maryland for my MFA in dance. So when I graduated, we decided to come back home, my wife's home, which is also my home. And so when we got here, I wanted to, because the arts, or let me say dance, it doesn't, the connection will not come to you. You have to get out there and make the connection. So I sent out an email to everybody, all the institutions around, that, hey, I'm here, I'm from here, this is what I do. If in case you need this, let me know. And I also connected with the community through Japo African Dance Company. I go there sometimes to teach, or sometimes I take a class. So, and then of course I teach at Case Western. So I had connected with all the schools around, and of course I was connected with the dance, Lynn Deering, who is the dance department chair here at Cleveland State University. So it was through Lynn Deering that I got to know about the Black Studies, and eventually me getting hired to teach this course.
And we definitely appreciate Professor Deering for making that connection for us, because it was her high recommendation that encouraged the discussion to advance this celebration of West African dance by way of a continuing education course. What will your students learn about West African dance, as you're saying you're going to be dealing with the sub-Saharan parts of Africa and the range of dances that comes from those different countries, those different cultures?
So what I'm going to do is I'll introduce them to the culture. Before you learn the dance, you have to know about the culture, what the people do, their way of life, their everyday life, what they eat, what they wear, their source of livelihood. Then introduce them to their geographical location, because most of our dances is highly affected by the things we do. If you see a dance, and you know the culture, you know where their geographical location, you'll be able to tell this dance is coming from these people. This dance is coming because, for instance, they are nomads, or they are farmers, or they swim a lot. So their environment, the things that happen around them, affect the dance. So what I'm going to do in this class is introduce my student to a wide range of movements, different movements coming from different culture, where I'll have the opportunity to then explain some of these movements and the people, what the people do with this movement, why they do these movements, and I'm also going to introduce them to the musicality of it, the drum rhythm, the chants, the songs. So I'm just going to introduce them to a totality of an African performance.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to introduce.
With that, we would love to invite you in to one of our upcoming events, and would like our listening audience to consider some of our upcoming events, which start with a Ralph Pruitt lecture. This Ralph Pruitt lecture will be delivered by Dr. Kimberly P. Johnson. She is a professor of communications at Tennessee State University. The topic of her lecture is Womanist Preaching, Speaking Truth to Power. That event is going to be held Thursday, March 21st, 5:30 to 6 p.m. with a book signing, and then her lecture will occur at 6 p.m. We will have a 7:15 p.m. reception with her in the Howard A. Mims African American Cultural Center. That event is followed by the Dr. William Wasson Basketball Challenge, and this will be held on Saturday, April 6th, 2019, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the CSU Recreation Center MAC Gym. We will have academic coaching by Dr. Mary Myers. That will be followed by a basketball game with members of the Cleveland Police and Fire Departments. We ask our community that wants to attend that to register in advance and call the Black Studies program, even if you only intend to spectate. So with that, the numbers for Black Studies will be shared a little bit later in our conversation. And bringing us back to the interest that Black Studies has with Africa will be a Bridges to Africa celebration. And that event is going to be held on Friday, April 26th at 6 p.m. This is going to be a Francophone discussion where our special guests, including Dr. Mamadou Seck, from Senegal, who is a professor here at Cleveland State University, will engage in conversation with community members from the Democratic Republic of Congo, as well as Dr. Tama Engelking. She is a professor of modern languages here at Cleveland State University. So we tend to engage the culinary arts with that conversation and presentation, as well as the discussion of how Africa is influencing through the Francophone discussion our English department, because Dr. Adrienne Gosselin is going to have a chance to talk about her experiences with taking the history of an African descendant, Francophone speaking African descendant, into the discussion of how Mozart may have been influenced by an African. And then we have one of our student community members, Toussaint Miller. Toussaint Miller is going to talk about his trip to Senegal as a high school student from the university school. So that will be a large range of events for our community to consider, and then to see that we intend to connect with our heritage to the motherland, Africa, and definitely to Ghana, because we have you present with us now, Mustrapha. The things that we're even learning today from you is very exciting. And with these great advances with the Images radio show, and thank you, Mr. Al Nozak, for that, this is an opportunity for us to record the progress as we make progress with you and your instruction and the changes that art can make through cultures and through cultural centers like the Howard A. Mims African American Cultural Center. In closing, what would you say to attract someone to register for your course?
I would say definitely you should register for this course, because there's going to be live music. You have a live music. You have me teaching you the songs. You have me coming from Ghana. I am a member of Azagno Dance Company here, based in Athens, Ohio. I have been a member of the National Dance Company of Ghana. I have toured almost the entire continent of Africa, and many parts of the world, dancing, and my connection with a lot of African artists, dance, music, or drumming, it's enormous. So I entreat you all to register. It's going to be a great class. You are not just going to learn the movement, the dance, you're going to learn the culture. You are going to be immersed in the culture as well. So I entreat everybody to.
Okay, so with our interest in bridges to Africa, you allow us to continue that construction to make the connection between Cleveland, Ohio, and African countries very possible. We have Dr. Donna White. She's instructing a course on Ghana to prepare students for a trip to Ghana. So we will already have an ambassador working with us to assist with that process as well. There is a small community of Ghanaians here in Cleveland, yet I'm understanding you're connecting with a larger community of Ghanaians in Columbus, Ohio. How can we start to develop a community like Columbus has here in Cleveland, Ohio, as we bring ourselves to a quick close?
I think I will do it through dance. I will. I'm connected with the Japo Dance Company. That's the only African dance company that I know here. So what I'm going to do is, through this class, I am going to do research. I'm going to research and find out where I can connect, where the larger Ghanaian community, where they live around the Cleveland area. And I'm also going to, because I heard, I was at a Ghanaian, an African restaurant, and I heard people speak Ghanaian language. I heard them speak Twi, but before I came out, they had walked away, and I wanted to talk to them. So these are some of the places I'm going to leave my cards. I'm going to leave flyers at these African dance functions, and I know there's a lot of Nigerian community too, so I'm going to connect with.
So with those connections that will be made through the Black Studies program and through the Howard A. Mims African American Cultural Center, definitely acknowledging the work that has been done by Dr. Sansa Clark here with the Malietu program that started to introduce a long time ago this conversation that is coming to fruition with you being here with us, Mustrapha. We would like our listening audience to join us in appreciating you and for them to call us with giving the conversations to our new Secretary for Black Studies, Mrs. Simmons. So please call her and announce your interest in having more conversations with Mustrapha. Our conversation with the front desk of Black Studies is by way of calling 216-687-3655 and allowing our conversations to continue, and thanking you for joining us with Images.
You have been listening to Images, a public affairs radio program produced by the Cleveland State University Black Studies program and the station. The opinions expressed were those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Cleveland State University, the Black Studies program, or the station. We hope you have enjoyed the music performed by the Jazz Heritage Orchestra. If you are interested in finding out more about the Black Studies program, call 216-687-3655 or visit our website at www.csuohio.edu/blackstudies.